This video continues from the previous. Okay, so now we're putting it all together. How much rainfall do we get? Why do we need to know this? We need to be able to design our roof systems to properly accommodate this. You want to make sure that that rain is getting off the roof as quickly as possible. Even flat roofs are not flat. What is the average temperature? It's important to know. How hot does it get? Because we'll want to be able to design for that. We want to consider other things. Is it a fire-prone area? This part of the country is prone to fire. What do we have to consider with the sun's angle? What do we have to consider with wind? This part of the country gets hurricanes and tornadoes. I'm sorry, hurricanes, which spawn tornadoes. So there are things that we want to consider when we're looking at the climate. Okay, then we're going to look at circulation. We're going to create lines on our piece of paper that help us determine traffic, bus, bicycle, pedestrian. We want to know what those things are so that we can properly design for them. What's the neighborhood like? What's around? What are our natural elements? How does the site drain? Where are the trees on the existing site? What else is there? There's a creek. Does it rise? Could it have potential flooding? Are we in a floodplain? What are the man-made elements that are on our site? Where's the sewer? Where's the water? Electricity? What's the easement? What about sensory features? What views are positive? What views are negative? Right? You want to know if you're standing on a site and you see something unattractive, what are you going to do to mitigate that? What about sound? We have to consider sound. Sound attenuation is when you reduce the noise that is coming into your building. What are we going to do for sound attenuation? How is this zoned? What is our zone? Obviously, our zone needs to have an R, or if we're doing multifamily, MF for multifamily. We have to be allowed to build what we want to build, this type of building in that area. What are the codes, right? What do the codes say that we have to do? We want to know these things. And here is it all put together in a composite. So all those pieces that we just looked at put together in a composite site analysis. This is helpful information. And obviously black and white is harder to read. I always did mine in color. The human eye, as I have mentioned, organizes fastest by color. If I say pick out the red arrow and there's one red arrow, your eye goes right to it. There's no hesitation. However, I say find the wind on this page, it takes a lot longer to find the symbol than if it were a color. And then here is design based on that site analysis. And you can see all the houses are facing a certain way. And that has to do with the data we gathered. Here are just some, here's the house on the site. Say we've decided this is how we're going to potentially site it. Take a look at it. The great thing about the software, CAD software, is that you can rotate. Once you get your plan and your site, you can rotate it around a little bit too. Normally you don't want to design this way, but you can take a look at, well, what if it's oriented this way? I like this orientation. Maybe I can use a retaining wall to block some negative views, as they've done here. Maybe I could put the patio on the back side so it's not facing the street. So there are things to consider as we lay out our site plan and start to design our residences. Just another example. This is interesting. here's the garage, and the house is behind it. Yeah, and so you look at all these different layouts, right? There's so many different choices and ways that you can do this. Here is an example of a site analysis with photos. And that ultimately this is either where they decided to put the house or where they decided to put the parking lot. A couple more examples. And then here's a three-dimensional model of a site analysis. And if you think better in 3D, you may want to do this. Just do a massing. It'll help you make decisions about where you're going to put things. Okay, so in this series of videos, we have covered what is a site plan and what is a site analysis and the parts of what should be in your site analysis in order to take them into consideration in your building design. You're going to have the opportunity to do that as part of the course project. We're literally going to do a sustainable design of a residence that's going to require you to do the site analysis so that you'll have the experience of doing it. The more you put into it, the more you'll get out of it. Because the first time you do this, it's hard. And I know it's hard. The second time you do it, it'll be easier. The third time you do it, not only will it be even easier, but you'll start to get good at it. You'll start to get better at it. So the more you do, the more you practice, the better you get at this. And the cool thing is, one of the cool things is, you can literally build a small mass model and take it out to your site at different times of the day and photograph it to help give you feedback on whether or not what you designed worked. Okay, so we're going to stop here and talk a little bit more about some other aspects of sustainable design in other videos. But this is the end for site analysis.